Hi! Welcome to this part of my guide and review featuring the FlexTale Solo Adventuring Toolkit. If you haven't seen the other parts of my guide and review, please check out the playlist in the description below. This time we are going to talk about quest prerequisites and urgency. A quest in this solo toolkit is handled as an instantiation of a plot template. Quest and plot are largely interchangeable words for the purpose of this book, though typically quests are simpler in structure. Let's talk about prerequisites. A plot template may have prerequisites. Prerequisites are conditions for the quest to actually take place or to activate. If these conditions are not met, the quest cannot be used or undertaken. The plot templates contained in this book were designed so that this situation very rarely applies, because it's no fun to randomize something only to have to re-roll that result after checking to make sure if its prerequisites exist. Most of the things that could be considered prerequisites can be handled in other ways. Instead of a plot template using prerequisites, it will simply define a role, and if your game world does not yet have actors that could satisfy that role, then you can simply create a new actor that fits that role and assign it as the target. For example, if a plot template uses the conflict between two factions, and your game world doesn't yet have any factions defined in it, you can simply create two new factions and consider them to be at war with one another. Unlike most of the remaining header elements of a plot template, prerequisites can't be randomized. They either do or do not apply to a given plot template, and this will be clarified explicitly in the plot template description. We will talk about the different plot templates in a future part of this guide and review. Then we have urgency. Some quests may be pursued at any time. Others demand immediate attention. This distinction is referred to as the urgency of a quest. The same plot template can generate vastly different quest experiences, depending on what kind of urgency applies to the proceedings. Urgency generally dictates how long you can ignore or fail to make much progress on solving the quest before it fails automatically. If a plot template works best only with a single category of urgency, then that category will be provided to you explicitly in the plot template description. Most plot templates, however, instead have dynamic urgency. This is just a complex sounding way of saying that you can roll to determine what level of urgency a specific quest generated from the template might have. In such scenarios, a table is provided with probabilities. However, you can just pick whatever level of urgency you wish to apply, or you can roll on the table to randomize the level if no other more specific table applies, or if you wish to ignore the more specific tables. So depending on your role, these results are intentionally phrased ambiguously, so that they might apply reasonably to a wide variety of potential circumstances. However, you do have some guidelines to handle to better interpret these results. Maybe you obtain the result of almost too late. The objectives of the quest are nearly impossible unless immediate action is taken. The chances of success plummet dramatically unless the player characters engage in the next round. Maybe you obtain the result of immediate. This quest must be pursued in the next hour of game time, or it will likely fail. Maybe you obtain the result of ignorable. There is no ticking clock. The player characters may choose to pursue this quest as they wish. So what do I think of these prerequisites and urgency? I think they are essential components when it comes to running a believable quest. Not all quests will be able to be undertaken by different parties of adventurers. Maybe you are playing a sci-fi game, and the quest has to do with a particular membership to a faction, to some sort of guild or whatever, and maybe you need to travel to a certain planet, be accepted into a particular society before you can undertake that quest. Maybe you are playing a fantasy game, and a particular species or race are not allowed to carry out that quest unless they prove themselves to another species or race. Perhaps you are playing as orcs, and orcs are not trustworthy to carry out quests for example, gnomes. So you need to do some things before as prerequisites for certain quests to become available. But like the Solo Adventuring Toolkit says, you could ignore that. If you want to take on a quest, you could do it. However, it would make for a more believable experience or realistic experience if you were to introduce those nuances, shades, or complexities in relation to the game world. Now, when it comes to the urgency, this is also very important in my opinion in order to surprise yourself and to get really excited about a particular quest. For example, Vampire Hunter D, the Bloodlust OVA or film or original video animation. In that animated film, Vampire Hunter D, the main character, starts with other hunters with a head start. He's got some really difficult competition because some other hunters have been hired to carry out the mission that takes place in the movie. So all of those quests that suddenly come out from your interactions with non-player characters or by visiting different sites, maybe someone else is already undertaking those quests. Remember that in the Solo Adventuring Toolkit, actors count as people, places, objects. So maybe you are exploring some ruins and you decipher some sort of map or legend or clue that points out to another site with riches or ancient lore. But surely you are not the first one encountering this, or maybe you are. So you make your roll, and perhaps you obtain the result that you are behind already. Maybe you encounter some tracks or some signs that some other adventuring group has been here recently. They probably already deciphered the map, the legend, etc. And surely they have undertaken that quest already. So now you need to go after them and to see if you get to the goal before them. Or maybe to confront them. It depends on how you are handling things and the sort of character that you are role-playing as. But maybe in that same case, there are no clues, no indications that someone else has explored these ruins. This could be an interpretation of a result of ignorable. You obtain the ignorable result in the table. This means that the quest can be undertaken at almost any time when you find it more suitable or comfortable, depending on your resources, on your time. Maybe you are taking on other quests that are more urgent, and you could interpret this, like I said, you obtain the result of ignorable, and that means that there were no signs that someone else has already become aware of this site of great riches and glory and whatnot. So definitely consider these prerequisites and urgency to add richness, depth, and believability to any quest that you decide to undertake. Thank you for watching this part of the guide and review. If you have any comments or questions, please let me know. And thank you so much to those of you that have been supporting the channel by sending drive-thru RPG gift certificates. If anyone else wants to further support the channel, the information on how to do that will be in the description below. Once again, thank you, and see you later.